everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Musings of Modern Mystics. My name is Lorelei Hewitt.
And I'm John Davis.
And I have to start the program by straightening my glasses like I do
It's
every
traditional.
time. It is traditional. Well, John and I live up here in the Seattle area in the Northwest, and it's really smoky. And you've been in California.
I've been in California where
It's also
the
smoky.
Lake Elsinore fire and the fire that is around Redding,
Yeah.
all of those are, the whole place is also smoky.
Yeah.
Winds move out to the ocean and they blow the smoke there, where the North Pacific High then dissipates it all along the coast, and the winds come back and they blow the smoke to places where they don't even have fire, and so we're all breathing in the smoke.
Yeah.
We're all part of what's happening. We're all part of the fire.
It feels a little like the Ragnarok to me out there. You know, it's the Nordic.
You gotta tell who.
Yeah, well, Ragnarok is the Nordic mythological Armageddon. But it ends in fire and war and ice and all kinds of things like that. But it's disconcerting because here in the Northwest we usually pride ourselves on the clean air, and right now it's not. It's not clean and clear at all. And I feel for the people in other parts of the world that have this air quality,
Right.
or maybe not this severe, but something similar on a regular basis. And John and I were talking before this about, well, you made a really lovely comment. It was about how breath is, you equate breathing with love. And
Right.
I thought that is so perfect for what is going on right now in our environment, because when we don't have something is when we often want it more than anything else. When we don't have clean water is when we really need clean water. When we don't have clean air, we really want clean air. When we don't have love, we really want love. But there's something about the movement of energy, the movement of the breath. And I'd love for you to talk to me and to the rest of our audience about what you were saying, what your thoughts were about that. Because breath is something that you work with your clients every single day.
Right. Sometimes I think, it's like I'm helping people find the rhythm of their breath that works for them and supports their way forward and supports their growth. But when there's fires and everything, I look at it, am I really, asking somebody to breathe while,
Oh yeah.
While
sure.
you're in the creating distance by having a fire and everything, it's like that might not be good for them if they learn how to breathe while this is going. And so it crossed my mind, and I had to think about it, and I realized humans as a species have been breathing in crap for a long, long time, because that's how we stay connected to the earth and to each other, and to the animals, and to all of the things that are on the surface of this earth that we live on. And if you think about it, if you go up about 30,000 feet, you can't breathe.
Yeah.
There's no oxygen. It's only in this thin layer of organic life that surrounds the earth where we have this. It is, when we participate in it, it is how we exchange love with the planet. We're connected.
Yeah.
And what love is the desire to stay connected and not be alone. So when you're breathing, and when you're consciously breathing, you're opening up to this thing, this field, this oxygen, nitrogen,
Yeah.
that connects all of us. You can feel all of us in the connection with every breath. And so I look at that and I go, how much do people want to participate? Because I notice there are plenty of people who breathe. They have these big chests that don't go down on the exhale. And there's a whole bunch of other people who have like a hole in their heart, in their chest, and it's all exhale to them, and there's no inhale. And so all of us, according to our personalities, have some limitation that we've placed on ourselves, or by birth, or by genetics, or by past lives, have placed an anchor that we carry around with us regarding how open we are to love that is already inherent in the existence of humans and animals on this thin layer all around the planet. And so
Yeah.
I am
I
fascinated
like that.
about how we do that, how we support each other in
Yeah.
that, or we say, nah, I'm not going to support that. I'm not going to breathe. I'm not going to be part of that. I don't trust you. And so it's like, you're making a bet with yourself that not being able to trust oxygen and the earth and your place on earth is going to be good for you. And I wouldn't make that bet. I would say that it may be okay to take in a little smoke every now and then, because you will be changing and absorbing like everybody else. So there are places on the earth where volcanoes are going off. I think, what was it, like Indonesia and some place in the Caribbean and Iceland and places like that where the oxygen is not, not so good. But being able to hold the space where you can breathe and connect yourself to everyone else means that you are already connected in a way that is loving to the rest of the people on the planet.
In a way, we're also connected by our it's like a communal suffering in a way too.
Okay.
There is that as well, isn't there? Because we're all kind of, it's like it's mysterious. But you're right, when the breath that I'm exhaling, you're inhaling,
Right.
and vice versa. It is a way that we're connected to each other, even though we're not necessarily conscious about it. There have been poets that have talked about the idea that we're breathing in air that maybe was breathed out by Jesus or Buddha or Muhammad, right?
Yeah.
But there are particles that we're taking into our body that these wonderful spiritual leaders and mystics breathed out at one time. We are that connected to each other, and I think the smoke reminds us that we're also connected to the planet.
Right.
That our bodies are connected to the planet
Our bodies
anyway.
are connected to the planet, and the breath keeps us connected to the planet. And because we all breathe, animals, and us all breathe the air, we're connected to the animals. Now, when we exhale a form of carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide is picked up by the plants, which we eat. And if we didn't, if there wasn't carbon dioxide in the air, then the plants wouldn't do real well. And so it's a symbiotic relationship that we have to all of the things, and if you think about it from a standpoint of, I inhale, I exhale, and so do you, so do the people around me. And in terms of what we used to call some kind of prosperity consciousness, there appears to be plenty of, there's enough.
There's air.
More than enough for all of us to breathe it.
I don't know. I think there's not enough. It's like, this oxygen's mine. It's like, no, this room, there's air purifier. This is mine. But I'm just joking. But there's also something that you were talking about just a minute ago about the way people breathe when they get stressed out. Right now, I am feeling like I don't want to take deep breaths. I want to take shallow breaths because there is a fear that I might be affected by the large particles of soot in the air, and I could breathe them out and not breathe them. I could breathe them in and not breathe them out, although I have to trust that my body knows how to do this. But it does create this more shallow breathing pattern, which you and I know we associate that with fear.
Right.
When we're afraid, we're breathing more shallowly in the context of the conversation that we're having or whatever thought processes are going on. So it does create this kind of low-grade fear energy. Do you feel this? I
Sure.
certainly am feeling the undercurrents.
Well, you have the
of
undercurrent of the normal fear
Yeah.
that people have to participate in something that they don't know where it's going. And that's the ego has its own fears, and everybody has their own version of that. And so you try to cut down on breathing because Groucho Marx said, I wouldn't want to belong to a club that would have me as a member. So to the degree to which you don't like yourself or don't think that you're worthy, then we're going to adopt a breathing thing that makes a minimal use of what it is that's actually available to you.
Yeah.
So you end up shutting down things that, if you're unconscious, you don't know that you're shutting down. So one of the things that we were talking about before was that when we shut things down, let's say our heart is broken or something isn't working at our job or whatever it is, and we want to just breathe shallowly, because shallow breathing is the way we get through a difficulty. But what happens if that shallow breathing becomes a habit when the difficulty is gone?
Yeah.
You're still breathing like that. You're not aware you're actually doing it unless somebody points it out to you. So the important thing is that when there is a shock to the system, you will breathe shallowly, but when the shock is over, the effect of that shutting down will continue. That also shows up if Anna breaks my heart and I have to shut down. What else have I shut down? And that's the thing. It's like I see a lot of people who shut down for particular reasons, and all of a sudden they're allergic to gluten. All of a sudden their left heel seems to get sprained all the time.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they start having rashes on their right arm. And you realize that this shutdown process has triggered shutdowns in places that they were just trying to protect themselves from having their heart broken again.
Yeah.
They weren't trying to shut down their body. They weren't trying to shut down their life. They weren't trying to shut down their friends. But what happened was they retreat inside in a protective cocoon mode, and things start closing down that they had no intention of closing down. So it is important, because we all have shocks in our life, that as soon as that shock is gone, as soon as the sky clears, as soon as the rain stops, you don't go out with an umbrella and a raincoat.
Yeah.
You open it back up again. So we have to be aware of what the right time to close, how much to close, what's the moderating influence of that closure, and then ready to open back up again. So, if they're working on the freeway and there's a person there with a sign that says stop, you stop, and now 3 lanes go to 2, and then when it says go, you open it back up again, and all of a sudden the trucks are gone and the 3 lanes come back. We need to run ourselves that way, and not run ourselves the way the danger appeared when we were 12, or when we were 4, or when we were 26, or when we had no money and we lost our job at 30, and all of a sudden everything closed down, or we had our heart broken at 32. It's important that when the danger is past, that we begin to open it up again. And one of the ways, the beginning way, one that we all can control, have some control over, is to consciously begin to breathe again.
Yeah. I like that. As you were talking, John, I was noticing my breath and noticing that I am breathing inward more shallowly than I used to. Shallowly a word. I'm taking a more shallow inward breath than typically I would use. It's because I'm cautious about what I'm bringing into me, and then I'm anxious to exhale everything, so I'm really good at it's like get it all out. And emotions are like that, just like what you were saying. I can remember being in relationships in my life where I was more guarded and I didn't want to take in as much, and I wanted to let go a lot of whatever was inside me. So I was inhaling a more shallow breath and exhaling a deeper breath. So it's interesting to notice how you breathe on a typical day. And I do feel like I don't want to be connected to the environment as much right now because it is so smoky. I'm also thinking about how I want to help the little squirrels and birds in my yard, so I'll be sure and make sure that the water dish that I have outside is filled with fresh water and maybe some extra nuts or something. But those
And
little...
you could put an air purifier inside their house, inside the dead tree that's in the backyard, and because clearly they need good air.
All you need is a little fan that you can put a HEPA filter on. That's a little Facebook trick that's going on. I don't know, King 5. It's like, so you get a fan, you put a HEPA filter, and you could blast fresh air to the little squirrels as they're eating your nuts. That would be, yeah. I think my critters would like that. My critter friends, or not my critters, my critter friends. But
we have Douglas squirrels that come to our the back porch, and they like peanuts.
Yeah.
And so I was like, do you know that peanuts don't grow in the Northwest? How do you know what a peanut is? How do you know that it's food?
That's Sheldrake's morphic field. That's the morphic field, right? Which is a whole other topic. But right. Yes, you're right. That is a really good question.
Yeah, there's no peanuts in any trees out there that they could possibly find. So it's like, but they know.
But they do know.
It's food.
So what was it? The other thing that we were thinking about, though, in terms of smoke, it was love, but it was also protection.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I'm noticing, like in my car, I want the air to recirc. I don't want to bring in fresh air.
No fresh air.
And that's another metaphor in my mind, too, about relationships with things when I'm recirculating the old stuff, because I don't want to bring anything new. I'm in a place where I'm afraid about what's outside of myself, whether that fear is emotionally based or environmentally based, so I just recirc the air. But it gets a little hot and stuffy, and if I were to do that for hours and hours, it would be very unhealthy for me. But temporarily, it's a healthy safeguard to keep the soot that is floating around outside in the air from getting into the car and into the engine and the heating and cooling systems. But I think in life, too, our relationships can certainly be like that as well. That we have to kind of notice, are we recirculating our stuff, our air that we're breathing, our life, our energy, our thoughts?
We've gotten used to that.
Yeah.
We've gotten comfortable with that. But if we're going to continue to be alive and grow, then we're going to have to go, what did I shut down to before? What did I limit myself to before so that I could feel safe? So I could feel comfortable, that has limited my aliveness, my feeling of vulnerability and willingness to go out into the world with that and see a new adventure, a new way of looking at myself, and not take the recirculated air, the recirculated thoughts, the recirculated emotions, and take them as if that's who I am.
Yes.
Because you are growing, we are growing, and in 5 years, we'll be a slightly different person. Or Heraclitus, who was an old Greek philosopher, and he was a heretic in his day. But one of the lines I always liked from his writings was, remember, you never step into the same river twice.
Yeah, I like that. And you never really breathe the same breath twice either. It's always a little bit different. At least I hope it is.
Well, just remember that if you're breathing and you're saying, I breathe in this air that has a little bit of smoke in it so that I can connect to the people who are suffering from the smoke, so I can connect to the firefighters who are fighting the fires, so that I can feel that I'm a part of it. Now, I don't know anything about firefighting. I can get a hose and get some water like anybody else, but it's like I honor that work by continuing to breathe. And yes, my lungs may be a little distorted for a short period of time, but then the oxygen comes back. Then the fire's clear, and I am ready to breathe again, and my lungs will heal. One of the beauties of our system, if we stay alive, we stay awake to it, is that they heal. That all the things that you have that are wrong with you as you grow will heal. I used the example of, I found out when I was working with kids with scoliosis that the thing that I could do with scoliosis on 30, 32-year-olds who had jobs and had their life organized and everything, I couldn't do on teenagers. Teenagers, I needed to open up the body so that when they grew, the curve would come out a little bit, but it was a slow process. Whereas I had a couple of experiences of deep, profound emotional things where all of a sudden the person went through a catharsis and a lot of the curve came out.
Oh, cool.
So that was an interesting thing, that that the body, when you're alive, aware, conscious, will not be afraid to go whatever it has to go through to clear out something that happened a while ago. So please trust that the breathing process is a clearing process, is a cleaning process, that this short period of time where the breath and the air is not so good for you, that you will eventually clear that. We know people who grew up in houses that were both the husband and wife both smoked, and they had to go through maybe a flu or bronchitis or something, but when they came out of it, their lungs cleared and open. And so just know that the body has that capacity to figure out at the right time, when you're ready for it, to go through its clearing process.
I'm glad you said that, because I was thinking the same thing, that I'm intending and trusting my body knows how to clear this stuff out. My body is really good at taking things in and filtering them out and letting things go. So that could be something that that you could do during this smoky time of ours that we're in, to affirm that to yourself. And be sure to offer the critters in your neighborhood a little bit of water, because they're not going to want to travel as far in this to go to where they might have to get it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think that's it for today. I feel kind of complete with this conversation. All right.
Good for now.
Yes, so we'll be back next Monday.
Yeah.
Have an awesome week, and take lots of deep breaths as soon as it clears up. Bye-bye.